Game number 180 and 4 days shy of 7 months of meaningful baseball, and in the instant of a 450-foot blast to dead center in Minute Maid Park, the Philadelphia Phillies season comes to a magnanimous end at the hands of the 2022 world champion Houston Astros, 4-1. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Phightins Final with your boy Matty B, joined by Big Al and Joey Marks of the Madison Ave Fanatics. And let's not hang out by the edge of the pool. Let's jump right in. Joe Marks, are you okay? How you feeling right now, man?
No, this one stings because for what it is, we were here, we were at the doorstep, we were gripping the gold, and then some bully like kicked us in the teeth and just ripped it away from us. And that's what it feels like right now. I mean, this was a team in the Phillies that we all had confidence in. We all thought like once they started to get this train rolling, we were on our way and there was nothing to stop us. And it's prophetic that the Astros have a train horn or whatever the hell it is in Minute Maid Park when they hit a home run. And it's like they just railroaded us in the last 3 games. And the bugaboo of the Philadelphia Phillies, the lack of consistency with at bats and the lack of consistency with hitting and the lack of consistency with production all came to a head in the last 3 games. And that's the reason why you lost this World Series.
Al, my friend, you've been on this ride with me for both you gentlemen have been probably the biggest contributors to this program. How you feeling right now, man?
Uh, I don't know. Kicked in the teeth, kicked in any part of the soft part of the body that hurts and stings for a while. You choose the area. That's what it feels like. The team, was on like a freight train from hell, running through the postseason. Guys just started getting hot at right times. Uh, you saw Schwarber struggle for a while. He got his bearings. You saw Harper even struggle in the beginning. He got his bearings. All this stuff, all the things we can say, but it came to game three and they blew their load. I just use the terminology I'm going to use. They blew their load, and that's where it was. Some guys weren't ready for the pressure. Um, I think we know the changes that we're going to see from Dombrowski coming into the into postseason here, or the off season, whatever you want to call it.
Off season.
Um, yeah. So the strikeouts they got to do something about the strikeouts. They got to get more consistent hitting. The people I have faith in to make changes for 2023, I do, but there's certain people I have a feeling that we were not going to see them again, unfortunately, and fortunately for some of them. But right now it's just the wind got knocked out of me, and I don't, it's just like I don't want to talk about 2023. This team had all the chances, despite the fact that we weren't what you would refer to as a complete team. The Astros were a complete team whose offense kind of got sluggish after the ALCS, or even into the ALCS a little bit. But their pitching was dominant. For the love of shit, we got hosed by Hector Neris.
Yeah.
All that Hector Neris talk we've talked about over the years came back, bit us in the ass. You saw it in his face. When he struck out the last pitcher of that batter of that inning, you could feel it even if you weren't looking at the TV. You knew he was going. That's what you get for giving up on me. F you, Phillies. It was a big F you, and I don't blame him. If I'm another guy and I'm a team through, toss me aside and all that stuff, and I would have done the same. But whatever. It's just, ugh.
And he's not the only reliever or that's been tossed aside by the Phillies that the Astros have picked up and done well with as far as a reliever. Ken Giles comes to mind. Hector Neris is a different creature, and I call him Heart Attack Hector because when he was here, you never knew whether he was going to give you something solid or something like out of left field.
Well, that shows you what the Astros knew that couldn't for a while is that he's not a closer. He's
Right.
a sixth man, seventh man at best, and
Mm,
he comes in areas where the pressure isn't up.
right.
We didn't see Hector Neris when it was a one run game, or
Right.
there's guy kind of like they did to Alvarado tonight, put two
Mm,
guys in the corners, and here comes Hector Neris. They knew what they were doing with him, and that's
yeah. That's a difference. And like I completely agree with Al in the sense that with some of the changes that are going to happen, that's going to be for a conversation down the road because here's the lion's share of it. And I explained this to somebody. Me and the family had a birthday party we attended earlier in the day, and a couple people walked up to me and asked, how do you think the Phillies are going to do tonight? I said, look, to say they're playing with house money would be the low hanging fruit. The other side of that is, uh, despite even just saying we shouldn't even been here, we wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for an MLB rule change. They changed the rules to expand the playoffs to 3 wildcard seeds. And if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have even been in the playoffs.
That's one of two rule changes that did favor us this year. The
DH.
universal DH.
This is
If it
the other
wasn't for
one.
that, we would have probably not even thought of a chance at the
Yep.
playoff.
Yep.
And listen, I want to talk about that at the end. Obviously, a little bit about the future, but the present still is very pressing. Michael hits up and says, Bozo manager Robbie brings in Alvarado after 2 bad outings instead of Ranger. Great managing, Robbie. You blew this for us. I totally disagree with that statement that he blew it for us.
Don't
He
do
had a
that.
hand in it, but he's
Don't
not
do that.
ultimately
Don't
responsible.
don't do that.
But
I
listen,
mean,
I want to talk a little bit here. Let's talk about Zach Wheeler tonight and Valdez. Definitely the pitching matchup that it was built out to be. Both of them were smoking through through
Yep.
4 innings or through 5 innings. It was the 6th inning for both of them that really kind of got them rocked. Let's talk a little bit about Wheeler. Were you in favor? And it's going to be asked about 1 billion times. And let's start it right here. Al, I'll start with you. Were you in favor of Wheeler coming out after only 70 pitches and 3 hits?
no, I wasn't in favor. I mean, like I said, Rob Thompson's made a lot of good decisions throughout the year. I can't say that this was the best. This is one of those decisions. I mean, once again, hindsight's 2020. But we couldn't trust our bullpen all the way through. We were going to be throwing everything out there. He had Ranger ready to come in, and and I don't know who just said about Ranger was ready. I don't think Ranger would have made a difference.
No.
I mean, I can't say that, but listen, you got guys on the corner, one out, a high pressure, high leverage situation. Not just a high leverage situation, but your season, the World Series is on the line. So to make that statement, it's a little bold, but I mean, he just pitched a game recently. God knows what he would have been, how good he would have been. But my point is, I probably, with hindsight, but still at that time would have ran. The fact that they got the lead runner out at second, I would have felt more comfortable. There's a guy on second and one out. Maybe I would understand a little bit. But I mean, Alvarado has not been locked in as of recently. A lot of guys haven't been. Alvarado being one of them. Sir Anthony, none of our bullpen has been locked down. They luckily can say they had a lockdown bullpen. We haven't had that luxury.
Yeah, no, it definitely left us at the very worst moments in time. Joe Marks, what do you think? Were you in favor of pulling Wheeler at that point or leaving him in?
No, I was in favor of leaving him in because at 70 pitches, his velocity wasn't down at the time. Yeah, he was in trouble because there was ducks on the pond, but my feeling is he's not pitching anymore this season. Yeah, you let him work through as much as he possibly can because I agree with Al. I would rather trust Wheeler who was dealing and for
Still
all
throwing
people.
97, by the way, at that point. It's not like his velocity had
Right,
dropped.
right, exactly. And so, like, the idea that people were even worried about that coming into this game, that he was fatigued and his velocity was down and he was hitting 98 at the most on the gun today, it it proved to me, I'm like, look, in Wheeler I trust. I know he's got ducks on the pond, he's in a little bit of a jam, but we've seen this with Nola too. We've seen this through some of the situations with some of these starters. first and third. They've gotten out of it. And I felt like he on a game that mattered the most, you don't need to have that big of a hook. And I get John Smoltz said, well, that's the way that managers should manage. No, you have to have a feel for the game. And that's the way I feel. I mean, 70 pitches for Wheeler in the sixth is really good. And so I felt like, why force the issue? Because there's a lefty coming up. Don't do that. Don't play uh analytics when the game's on the line. Don't go lefty lefty just because the analytics say that Alvarado might have the more favorable matchup. Wheeler's been going through these guys, and only that inning really was a high stress inning.
And Smoltz said it too when they brought Alvarado in, saying, okay, well, last time they put him in this situation was bases loaded, nobody out.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad situation to be in for anybody. Then he said this situation with runners on first and second and one out, or I'm sorry, first and third with one out, that's a favorable situation because you're trying to get either that strikeout or that ground ball double play. And then what happens? He gives up a moonshot. I mean, a thing of beauty. Obviously, if you're a home run hitter, that's something to behold. That was a jack, man. But and then my question to you at this point, we kept him in. And then he walked two, or he gave up a hit and a walk. I mean, obviously he had lost his sauce. He was in his own head. Dominguez was warming up.
You had to go 3.
Well, yeah, he had to pitch. He had to pitch three batters, and then that's the double-edged sword here because of another rule change. You have to stand in there for either you finish the inning you're pitching or you face 3 batters. It just really at that point, and I'm not gonna. I hope I don't sound wrong, but at that point I knew it was done. We were toast at that point, especially with the way the offense was going. Gentlemen, let's switch to that offense right now. We've all clamored back and forth about potential lineup change. We did get a lineup change. Sosa was in for Stott. That was the lineup change that we got for Game 6. And then the top of the lineup, they did not disappoint. Once again, coming up very small, with the exception of the only run that we got tonight was courtesy of Kyle Schwarber. Going forward, again, and I've talked about this for 180 games. This is nothing new to me. I'm well aware what this offense does when it gets in its mood. Where do you come out on JT, Nicky Batts, Reese, even Bryce Harper in their performance over the last 3 games? Let's start with Al.
Well, obviously not great because they didn't win. Obviously, the offense wasn't great at all. The only ones who produced any offense was, once again, like I said earlier, either Bryce Harper or Schwarber. Nicky Castellanos is going to be. Tomorrow should be working with a batting specialist. Listen, I'm trying to find some silver linings here. He kind of got robbed early on in the game. He had the best disciplined at bat he's ever had, and a really bad ball called for a strike.
That's why I said that. That's why I swing all the time. That because I don't want to have that happen to me.
Yeah. So, So I mean, yes, they here you go. Mike saying Segura got cold, and he's been cold pretty much the whole World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Reese is like living in a freezer cold. Schwarber's doing what he should be doing, and hopefully next year he won't be ceding the leadoff position again. Going through the lineup, Harper did what we needed him to do. He batted, it was a 340 something. He was batting at least coming into this game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't complain about this. Nicky Batts just touched on. Alec Boehm, for a young guy, did a really good job. 6-hole hitter. Bryson Stott just went cold. Gave us some good at bats, but that doesn't translate to runs. And who am I forgetting
Brandon
now?
Marsh.
Brandon Marsh. I mean, we brought Brandon Marsh in for his defense. I mean, you're 7-8. You're 7-8-9. You don't expect a lot from them. He went with the righties on righties today. Sosa almost came to making it 3-0 very early into the game. What a world of a difference that would have been. But we got cold. We went cold, and I already see some messages coming through. We haven't popped up on the screen yet. The 2 Houston Astros fans out there, who are pounding their chest. I'm glad you guys had a chance to get your stickers off your hats that you just ordered. And the tags off the jerseys you just ordered, you front running a-holes. But other
Yeah.
than that, I have nothing else to say.
Joe, in your opinion, and let's center that 2 through 6 hole of the Phillies lineup, a spot in this lineup that has been very frustrating at times and very, very inconsistent most of the season. We needed them to come up big. We needed them to stay consistent. It looked like they were trending in that direction. But then since game 4, it has not been that case. They've just fallen off a cliff. Where do you come out on that group collectively?
You know, Matt, me and you have done a couple of these throughout the season, and throughout the season, we've picked, I would guess, 1, maybe 2 out of these 4 men you're talking about. Out of these 4 or 5 men you're talking about, and that is kind of the difference. And when you have had issues with these guys in one way, shape, form, or another, offensively, possibly defensively, inconsistencies, 0 for 20s, 0 for 17s, 0 for 15s, 0 for whatever in double digits, it's not just infuriating. It makes you start to question, well, is their approach even professional? Because I get it. The league has changed where, and you said this countless times, Matt, is it's home run, strikeout, so it's home run or bust. It's home run or strikeout. And I get it, but that shouldn't take away from some fundamental baseball. And I think it does, and I think it shows. When you go 0 for 22, when you go 0 for, I mean, I think leading into game 4, JT was 0 for 14. And I think, like, when you add that together with Reese and you add that to get all that together with, Nick Castellanos, yeah, Bryce had a great day, and even today, in the beginning, he went over. I think he went over 3 in the before the 8th or 7th or 8th inning. I think he ended with an over actually, but that's not Bryce's fault. When you put all that weight on Bryce, and we've done it, but it's not fair for him to barter that load when you have guys that are skillful. And I'm not taking that away from Reese or JT or Nick. You're skillful, but you just don't show it consistently enough to make us feel more confident in your abilities. Tonight, the Houston Astros in that lineup with Pena and Alvarez and Bregman and Altuve, those guys said, we're better than you, and we're going to show and prove it, and we're going to make sure that we make our bones off of our bats, because like you said earlier, Matt, it was a pitching duel until the 6th inning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just took a swing.
It broke it all open. And this is Philly class right here. Linda, it was an exciting ride. Thanks, Phillies. Get him next year. Congrats, Astros. You know what,
Linda's
Linda?
always being in a
Thank
class
you.
that I can't do.
Thank you, Linda. Because then I got to deal with guys telling me I got to deal with this clown right here who I've never seen before in my life. He shows up here on game.
Yeah, like I said, it's the one of 2 Houston fans out there who want to go running around, running their mouth. Yeah, blah blah blah. You won, fine. Take your bow. You come on here. You want to be a Jo? Go right ahead. Whatever it is. But whatever. These guys, like I said, you're not a real fan base. Go pound sand.
Michael says no small ball, no moving runners, all in the manager. Michael, you got to get off this Rob Thompson thing. This is not the not moving the runners along, the no small ball. That is something that this team was basically, and I hate to tell you this, was constructed to be. This is what they were. We talked about this back in March. We talked about it and basically smiling about it, saying, you know what, that's fine. We'll just out hit home runs on these people. Obviously,
the moniker bash the bell. The moniker
right.
bash the bell.
Can I also
didn't work out that way.
Yeah, can I also put out there in baseball, if you have a 35% hit ratio, you're a good baseball player. If you only, if you have an ERA of, sub 3, you're a good baseball player, a good pitcher. Um, why does the manager isn't going to be right 100% of the time? The manager isn't out there. Yes, could they have played more small ball? It didn't matter. If you look back at this game and you watch every at bat, let's look at the last three. They're all reaching for it. They're just trying to, they're just reaching out, swinging as far. I mean, the ball's way out of the zone. That is players playing under pressure. There's nothing. And he went, listen, and who was saying it? Mike, you're a great dude. I love you, and I'm not trying to break your stones because you've been here and you've been a fan for a while. So I'm not trying to break your stones. You're mad. I'm mad. We're all upset, and I get that. But I cannot put much of any of this, if anything, on Rob Thompson. If anything, Rob Thompson's the reason we got as far as we did. Because would you be blaming Rob Thompson if we didn't make it past the NLDS or the NLCS? Would you be blaming Rob Thompson? Probably if we didn't make the playoffs at all. But once again, we had two other managers before that who didn't make the playoffs either, who had teams close enough, who had Bryce Harper on there. This team made a lot of moves this offseason. None that we thought was going to be enough to win us a World Series. None that we thought was going to be, and like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Yeah.
None that we thought that was going to be enough to win us World Series, but listen, we got a taste, and we're like, ooh, we really like this. And we really wanted it. And there's a chance there. Team got cold. Houston Astros right now are just a better team. Just what it is. Better all around. Better hitting. Better pitching. And let me just throw a couple things out there. One thing is, Fox, man. I get it. I'm not trying to go against the announcers, but I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Dusty Baker's got the most chafed thighs of all right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Oh, he's friends with Snoop Dogg. Who gives a shit? That was the dumbest thing. And then, by the way, right now, right before we start struggling, what do? They throw up the Carter pictures from '93. They talk about the '93 Phillies. I'm like, it had nothing to do with anything. Nothing at all. You just got to insert that in. Like, really just dig a little deeper. So, fuck you, Fox.
And I'll add to that because towards the end, when the game was well in hand, I'm just listening, getting ready for the post game, and they mentioned, well, Dusty Baker gets to join such managers as Tommy Lasorda and Tony La Russa. Like, are we really doing this? Are we really doing that now? Like, are we really putting this guy because he won one World Series? I mean, what about Charlie Manuel? He won a World Series. Like, okay. Like, but just because you are one of the most winningest managers and before now you never won a World Series, that ought to tell you that you are the Buffalo Bills up to this point. You were the Buffalo Bills of the Major League Baseball. And, it infuriates me is I agree with Al. Houston was a better team. But we knew that this was not going to be an easy task. But to blame Rob Thompson is an indictment as a Philadelphia fan, a Philadelphia Phillies fan. And man, I do not want to come off like Joey Sheeran right now and start blaming the fans for taking ridicule towards the manager. But stop. This is a guy, and I agree with Al, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, for the decision making, for the manager, for bringing that clubhouse together. That's not a given. When an interim takes over, that means the season's pretty much over.
And let's point this out also. All the Dusty Baker stroking we got, all you heard about is this guy has missed a World Series like a half a dozen times. He hasn't been able to get that over that hump. Rob Thompson has first time as the skipper, and we're already like we gotta pump the brakes. And you want real quick, Matty, I want to point a couple of things out. I got some people in here, and I'm looking through these comments as we're going along, and I'm getting blasted. Fine, and have at it. Blast me all you want. If that makes you feel better, we're all mad. Like I said, we'll be your therapy right now. If you need to lie on the couch, put this on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you're watching. Because I know somebody said there's only 5 people. Wrong. But whatever. I'm not here. This is Anthony Dixon. I'm going to throw her. Stop being a groupie fan. This is not. I'm not a groupie fan. I'm going to tell you, stop being a typical sore loser fan, because that's what it is right now. When it's they sucked. They're bad. They just Rob Thompson screwed us. No, nobody screwed us. Nobody did anything. The team got cold at the worst time possible. Yes, the pitching, the pitching that we've had, the fact that it was as sustainable as possible is a miracle. And I'm not sitting here trying to say, guys, be happy with this team. No, be upset, be mad, and go to bed, wake up, have your coffee, get through it. Because you know what? Sunday's another day. You get to wake up. You get to do that. We get to look forward to hopefully a continuing successful Eagles season. And not the Sixers so much, and the Flyers, whatever. We'll get to that later or another day. But overall, you can call me what you want. You can make fun of us for what you want.
I'm
There,
gonna chime. I'm
Don't
gonna
forget to
chime
like and
in.
subscribe.
yeah, and while you're liking, subscribe. Like I said, I don't mind the back and forth. You want to be mad? Come at me.
Yeah,
I'm not going. I'm not going to get
none
off.
of us are. None of us
Yeah,
are.
I am not going to. I'm not going. I'm not going to sit here and go, you're a dick. No, I mean I could do that's an easy way out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you, yes, it was. This is a story of stories. You know, the only way it would have made this story perfect, of course, would be winning the World Series. But the fact where we went, I mean, the starting pitching rotation is almost is like 50% different than it was in the beginning of the season. The bullpen is like 97% different than it was in the beginning of the season. Rob Thompson, okay, and I know somebody said in here, you know, Rob Thompson, he should have never got the job. They pulled the trigger too early on the extension. No, they didn't.
No.
I mean, this team was going to be like historically putrid with one of the most highest payrolls if Joe Girardi stayed in here. So who else do you think you would have been able to get in here had this team connect with you? You had to have a guy that the team knows, right? You couldn't just bring in some guy who's been never, he's a World Series manager. So is Dusty Baker. It took him this long to become a winning World Series manager. My point is, Rob Thompson knew the guys. They're in the locker room. They see these guys. They see how they react to people. They saw that, okay, they like him. They respect him. Rob Thompson's been around for a while. So we're going to go with him. And the fact that Rob Thompson, interim manager, a guy who has never been a skipper before, was able to do what he did he make 100% all the right moves the entire time he's been interim manager? No. Did he make some questionable decisions even tonight? Sure. But everybody did. Even the Kyle Schwarber bunt, you're going to question that, or attempted bunt, I should say. You're going to question that all you want. I mean, I just, guys, like, listen, let it out. That's what we're here for.
This is one of the things I want to say because I heard an interview with Charlie Manuel a couple days ago, and the interesting part of the interview is that he said, managers who make really strong decisions that allow your team to win are looked at as geniuses. Doesn't matter what city or whatnot, they're looked at as geniuses because it works. Those decisions that are risky that don't work out backfire in the manager's face and are looked at as, well, the manager doesn't know what he's doing. And it's simply not true because Charlie himself even admitted, he's like, look, I made risky decisions. I was just lucky that no one saw them enough because we were winning. And that's the difference. Sometimes winning covers over those mistakes. I mean, I go back to one of the earlier games when Reese had that error that we all sat here and said was a routine play that could have cost us the game, but didn't. I mean, that's not a managerial decision. That is a fielding problem.
Yeah.
And that is not on the manager. That's on the players. The
Listen, he
level
took
of
a lump of clay that was a lump of clay and turned it into something. And real quick, Matty B, did somebody say something completely wrong and get blocked on, or did you?
Yeah, no, it was he was crossing a line, so I blocked him.
That's fair. That's fair. As long as you don't listen, like I said, I want to be here for you guys to get it out, get your frustrations out. Mike even said, "I respect all your opinions, Mike. I love that about you, and that's why I love seeing you on here. Not everybody's a fan is going to like Rob. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. I'm just going to tell you, like you know, that we're going to overreact at times.
Yeah.
We're Philly fans. That's what we do best. We let's be honest. We saw Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. We figured it was World Series bound. We didn't think about anything about the bullpen or starting pitching or anything like that. Who would have thunk? So like that's what we do best. But I love as long as and the word Michael said. I'm gonna throw this out there. The word Michael said respect. That's what we expect from you guys, and we give it right back to you guys. I love you guys. I love doing the Phightins finals with you guys. I would have really have loved to do a World Series Phightins final. We had a big plan to do it from the studio and just party together and enjoy each other's company for Game 7. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way. I love the fact that you guys are here and continue to do what you guys do and chime in because that's what makes EOP great. That we can be one on one with you guys. We can allow you to chime in without having to be on camera or microphone. Um, you know, as long as once again, as long as it's respectful.
So,
Um,
so listen, let me ask you guys this, and let me ask everybody that's listening, all 5 of you that are listening.
yeah, I'll follow you.
Literally 5 people. What happened to the conversation back in May and June about, we just want to get to the postseason. We just want to end the streak. We just want to get there. I don't care how we get there. I just want to get there. I don't care what we do when we get there. I just want to get there. I get it. The World Series, I was talking to my fiance earlier tonight about this. She's like, well, why? Because I kind of lost faith at the end when that 3-run homer went out. But, why are you feeling this way? Because it's almost like you don't even want to get to this point and not win it all. It hurts even worse. But when you sit back, and we all will eventually, because that's how we do, because Al said we overreact. It's our Philly nature to do that.
And we're hurt. We're hurt right now.
Yeah.
It's like it's like your girlfriend breaks up with you, cheats on you, whatever it is, and you want to throw furniture out on the lawn and throw her clothes out on the lawn or something like that.
Baby, why'd you do it? But
Yeah.
baby, why'd you do
I mean,
it?
if you think about it, it's just like that. I gave you my whole season. My whole season, I've been here with you.
I get you.
And Matt, I know what you're going to say is, yeah. I mean, we all clamor to that until because at that time, the feasibility of the World Series was a long shot.
Nobody wanted to talk World Series, Al. No one wanted to say it, and even including me, because this team was not. We said this back in March. This team is going to be a competitive team. They're going to be an exciting team. There's going to be balls flying out of the bank left and right, and they were. We were hoping, praying to God that we can get into the playoffs. But we did. We made a lot of noise. Now we got a blueprint of where we need to go and what we need to work on and what we need to get better to get back to that point. Joe, you mentioned this off camera. There's no guarantee that we're going to get back to this point next season or any time after that. You have to go back to square one, the drawing board. 100 days, by the way, pitchers and catchers report to Clearwater. So that's something to keep an eye on. But we got to go back to square one, figure out where the problems are. Obviously, situational hitting is number one. Maybe some extra horses in that bullpen is number two. Protection for Bryce Harper might be number three, or that may be existing in Kyle Schwarber. I don't know. But there's obviously some more work to be done to get us back into a position to compete to win the World Series again. It's unfortunate. It sucks that we lost. But you know what? We got to move forward. And we are the defending NL champs, whatever. They can't take that away. There will be a flag raising ceremony in the bank. And I know you people out there are going to come back to the bank next year. This is what we needed as a Philadelphia Philly fan base this year. We needed this ride. We needed this run to get you back in 23 so we can take this on further into the future.
Hold on one second, Joey, just to point this out. And to kind of go with what you're saying, Maddie, our boy here, Bryce Brown, frustrations aside, the team made my non-baseball fan girlfriend, a full-fledged Phillies fan. For that, I can thank the Phillies, and I can't thank the Phillies enough. This year was a roller coaster ride, and hopefully we improve. Go Phillies! And that's the point. Is I think I told you, no matter what, as long as they get close to this, that this postseason run was going to it's going to give us that 2008, 9, 10, 11 feel when the bank is full a lot. When baseball is a thing now, the expectations will be through the roof next year.
Yeah.
But we got to see what Dombrowski, because they're going to want him and Middleton now that they've been here, they want to go back, and they're going to want to get the monkey off their back, for lack of better words.
Yeah,
But
and I want to touch on a couple things. Number one, two things that like Matty B brought up, and one is on June 3rd, when the regime change happened, there was no one person that said, "Well, I see this team going to the playoffs," and because at that point we didn't know what end was up. The world got turned upside down because the guy we brought in, who we thought was going to lead us to the promised land, in Joe Girardi, became a fraud, and we all realized that real quick. The second thing I want to bring up that Matty B brought up, and it's an excellent point, and I don't say that about you, Matty B, very often, but
Wow.
it's
thanks,
it's an
Bill.
excellent point in situational hitting. In this whole playoff series, you mentioned the '08 team, Al. What did we have that was considered vital and we don't have now? And it's situational hitting. Matt Stairs, Greg Dobbs, these situational batters that could come in key moments in the game when the game's on the line, and we knew that they could give us quality and instinctively talented at bats into the night. Matt Stairs was not a starter in that game. He was a situational pinch hitter, and he made something happen that is going to live in Philly's infamy. And, there's a lot that can be said about situational hitting, and I don't think it was addressed enough. You can't say, well, you had Sosa and you had Verlander. No, those aren't professional hitters. I'm sorry, they're just
Our bench
not.
was not good this year. Our bench was not.
No, it
No, there's a
wasn't.
drop off. There's a huge drop off
Yeah,
after you hit the bench. Yeah.
And,
Uh,
and that the other thing that I would have to say in regards to where we what the level of expectation that's on Dabrowski. I go back to what Middleton said once we made the wild card. Okay, guys, he went into the clubhouse. He said, "Okay, guys, mission accomplished. We got into the postseason. Great job. That was checkbox number one in the path to get to the World Series." Well, he he was like, "Relax, guys, relax." And basically he didn't realize that we would get to the World Series. If I'm Dave Dabrowski, I'm like, damn it. He's probably like, now I have to do something big because if we fall short of the World Series next year, I failed.
well, and maybe that's kind of, once again, trying to find that silver lining is they're gonna make this team another team that's gonna make a run. Maybe now we can finally be the top in our division instead of trying to keep our head above water over the Mets and Braves for whatever reason. But like I said, overall this year has just it's been a hell of a ride. It came to a really abrupt stop. It came to a very nauseating stop. Something that's going to make me toss and turn a little bit tonight, but I'll get over it. We've been through this. It's what has bred us as Phillies fans, especially us older fellers out there. For anybody who's under the age of 30 watching right now, it looks like, Matt, did we have another not so nice person?
I had to. Yeah,
Yeah.
threatening someone in their sleep, so I had to knock them off
Oh,
too.
Oh
okay.
well. Was it one of us or a player?
No, it was a player. So
Okay, yeah, guys, come on, man. Like nobody's life is worth this. Nobody, like, I'm not here. I'm not Mr. PC in any which way, but come on, man. Like this, we got to be smart.
yeah, just like the other night
Um,
when they were attacking Castellanos' family. Come on, guys, let's not do this. All right. I mean, you can be upset all you want, but let's keep it all in perspective, please.
Hey, when I thought Castellanos had a jinx on him by buying Ben Simmons' house, I probably wasn't altogether right by saying we should burn down Castellanos' house.
well, that it wasn't because you weren't threatening to burn his family inside. I guess
Right, right.
that's a plus. Bryce, thank you. And you went, Bryce. You don't have to see us next year. You can see us all the time. We're here. There is a show. There are shows going 7 days a week. So check it out. we'll be talking Philly sports the whole way through. And don't worry, there'll be a lot of off-season discussions and acquisitions and guys leaving the organization. We'll be around for that. This isn't the end. It'll be the end of the Phightins final until the regular season starts up again. But we will have
He's
yes,
got to take one last shot with that,
he's got
doesn't
one. Castellanos, yes, Castellanos. I know.
I'll never
He
forget that night.
I know that it's one of his best friends, I think.
Yeah, that was a fun night. So listen, let's get into some of the you touched on it, what the future might be. I don't want to get too deep into that because we will be back throughout the winter. We're going to do the Phightins final hot stove editions a couple times throughout the winter and get you ready for pitchers and catchers in 100 days, reporting the Clearwater if you're keeping track at home, which I am. But let's talk. So let's talk some players. Let's talk three of them specifically, and I want you. We don't have to get into a deep discussion. Let's give me a yes or no, or if you want to summarize, you're fine. But Aaron Nola is on a club option for 2023 for 16 million. Gene Segura is on a club option for 2023 for 14 million, and Reese Hoskins is on his final year of salary arbitration before he hits free agency in 24. Let's start with Aaron Nola. Do you pick up the club option or do you buy him out for $1 million? Al?
Depending on what they go out and get, I think you pick up that club option. I mean, he's just not your number one. Maybe he's probably maybe your number three if they add another good starting. And Ranger might have earned himself a spot over Aaron Nola a little bit, but I mean, in the scheme of things in Major League Baseball, unless there's a good deal for him, I don't see a reason why $16 million is not a lot.
And we got one more year to wait for two pitchers that are coming up the pipeline. They're not ready yet. 24. One of them should be definitely ready. So you're right. I think you do. You ride Nola for one more year on that option. What about you, Joe Marks? Do you picking up Aaron Nola's club option, or are you going to buy him out for $1 million?
I'm going to pick up his club option only because, like Al said, he's still a quality pitcher. And I mean, he's still going to give you quality games. However, if we're all keeping track at home, Aaron Nola usually has one good year, one bad year. This was a good year. So,
and outside of that, don't forget he's not Cole Hamels. I always think people get those two confused.
Yes.
He's not Cole Hamels.
I get that. I get that. I made that comparison loosely. And look, I get it. Hollywood's different, and he is. But no, I would not buy out Nola's contract simply for the fact you have Nola, you have Ranger, you have Wheeler, and I know this might not be a popular decision, but I'd even give Billy Falter another run at starting. Just because, yeah, he's choked at the end. But he showed a lot of promise during the season, and maybe he can correct some of those I guess nerves.
All right, same question now with Gene Segura. Do you pick up his $16 million club option, or are we buying him out for $1 million?
You can't. Unfortunately, they're going to need money. They have one of the highest payrolls. They went over the luxury tax. We already saw that. There has to be some sort of cap casualty, if you want to call it that. And with Gene being on the last year of his contract, the need for the money, and that's $14 million. That's a lot of money. I think he's gone, and I keep telling you, there's a certain Trey Turner I feel is coming here, so I think casually from a couple of reasons in this situation.
Joe Marks, are we picking up Gene Segura, or are we going to buy him out?
No, we're buying him out, and I kind of echo the sentiments of Al. We need the money, and we need the money for other things we need to address. Yeah, one being Trey Turner, but I really do think we need to get more strong talent in that bullpen. This World Series was proof that if you don't have enough arms in the arms race, you're gonna lose the World Series because they outgunned us as far as arms. And I would like to see Dabrowski try to do more with what's already in the bullpen. Because, I mean, let's keep in mind, one of those big bullpen arms, one of his big three, was a starter in Eflin, and I don't even know if he's going to have a role as a starter on this club going forward.
I've already built my 23 roster. I'm not going to talk about it right now. And no,
Let's
Eflin's my
not do that
closer.
just yet.
Yeah,
Let's let the air leave the body. Let's let the body cool down before we
But
start.
the last person I want to talk about tonight in the future or for the future, and this is a name that's going to be it's going to be talked about a lot. What do you do with number 17? What are we doing with Reese Hoskins? He's 1 year salary arbitration.
I don't understand even the conversation. I mean, what's he making? I don't even know off the top of my head.
Well, I haven't
It
looked
doesn't
up.
even matter. I don't think it matters.
Average. That's
I think
average.
I don't think it matters. I think he's gone. I think the Reese Hoskins experiment ended. It ended as soon as this game ended. I think it ended before we got here. I think the like I said, the odds of them signing Reese Hoskins, he would have had to have some breakout year and be way more clutch in the postseason than he was. So I think he was gone nonetheless. So you can get a better defensive hitting first baseman and a better, more consistent hitting first baseman for not a lot of money in my eyes. Not for the money that, not and they keep Reese around. I think it's just time for Reese to get a new scenery, a little new scenery. Maybe that'll be better for his career. And thank you for his wife for buying beers for all those fans. It was really cool of her. But that's not enough to want me to run with him because we need more consistent hitting from guys, and maybe it's a guy. I'm gonna say a Matt Vierling esque kind of guy. I'm not saying Matt Vierling himself, but maybe a guy who isn't the top of your order, but a guy who can produce when called upon.
Trey Mancini jumps to mind. What about you, Joe Marks? What are you thinking about? What do you think about Reese Hoskins' future?
Don't get into Trey Mancini. That he had one lucky hit.
Let the body warm, cool down, guys. Come on.
Yeah. But listen, with Reese, I have said it. I'll continue to say it. I'll continue to wave the white flag. Reese is not going to be a Philadelphia Philly. And even if he were to make it out of spring training after arbitration, I do not see it being a very long stay in Philadelphia. I would pack your bags and get ready to sell your house. It's not gonna be for very much longer. And honestly, when we talk about what is there, and I know, Matt, you have your qualms about Derek Hall, but like, if he's
I like Derek Hall.
Right, I like him too, and I think he could be that guy.
He wasn't ready for the moment. He wasn't ready for this moment.
But hold on, we didn't see him play a lick of offense or defense.
No, never came up. No,
he was only here 30-ish games out of 162. I mean,
but he did play first base.
Yeah, but hold on one second. So number one, we don't know what's going to be happening with Reese. If he's going to need Harper, we don't know if he's going to be having surgery.
Huge.
So we don't know what's going to be happening with him. I think the question already popped up here. Steve said, Casty to DH, Schwarber to DH. That's guys. Those guys need to be in DH more. They were not made to play the outfield. I mean, and you want to give Nick Castellanos any love? I mean, there's a couple defensive plays that he had. He wasn't a defensive worry at all in the World Series. I can't think of a time where I'm like, oh, if that was anybody else out there, they would have got that.
No, but I felt like he was a worry during the regular season. He did not do. I mean, that's why I guess it was such a shock that he was able to make the plays that he was able to make in the playoffs.
Listen, if he can figure himself out, if he can figure himself at the plate, I don't care what he does on the field. He just needs to work on his hitting.
And like I said, if anybody I think will have a resurgence in 2023, will be that man. I think they're going to be working long and hard with him because they sunk a lot of money into him, so you got to make sure he pans out. Because I know I saw earlier in the chat somebody said he's the biggest bust in history. Let's pump the brakes on that one. There's a lot of other bigger busts out there I could think of. But I would say I think they're gonna be working with him, and you're gonna what you saw tonight from him, and that that more plate discipline. That's where you're gonna see from him. I know his family got a little. The wife and the mom kind of jumped on people on social media because people were kind of ragging on the team last night because they were upset. But that comes with the territory. I mean, I never feel bad for somebody making 25 million dollars a year playing a kids game, and because the players get mad at you. Now, if you get out of the line talking about hurting people or doing something, it's a different story. But hey, hon, you live in a nice big mansion with your family, and you have a good life right now, and your kids are have the sky's the limit for them for the future because of low class working bums like ourselves.
Yeah, and you can't. I've heard the adage that was thrown around about Bryce Harper being underpaid at $330 million, and I'm like, no, you can't put those phrases in the same sentence.
Now,
Sorry, you can't.
no, I think listen, it's a play on a little bit. I'll play on it a little bit, but I think at the same time, what they're saying is like, listen, he's produced in more than we could have ever imagined. I
Yeah.
mean, once again, we are here. We're in the World Series alone because of Bryce Harper.
Yep.
There was most likely going to be a Game 6 in San Diego. No, if it wasn't for Bryce Harper. He was clutch as clutch can be. I've never seen anybody be more clutch. Like I said, how many times do teams, not just Philly teams, but teams in general, make these big ticket signings, and then just nothing. Just they get nothing out of them. They're not ready for the big moments. He wants the big moment. He is born and bred for it.
Look at
You
the
know this.
Angels.
Look at the Angels. They have one of the biggest names in sports. That guy's sitting there watching Eagles games for the last month. He caught as many Eagles games as Bryce caught World Series games.
No, I agree with you guys. And listen, we're running out of time, and I hope we were able to kind of assuage people's anger and grief. And yeah, I had to put out the block-in thing because people got to cross the line, man. Let's keep this kind of in perspective.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. It's been a great ride. 180 games. Nobody, if you would have tapped me on the shoulder in February and said, "Hey, guess what? They're going to go to Game 6 of the World Series and lose to the Astros," I'm going to be like, "Okay, just sign me up." All right, because I need to get back into that October baseball fever. Obviously, feeling a little bit differently now, but I would love to go back to April 8th and start it all over again. Yeah, the hell with it. Same outcome. I don't care. But it was a great ride. They overachieved. They overcame a lot of adversity, managerial wise, player wise. Don't forget, we didn't have a center fielder to start the season. We were Odubel Herrera in it and Roman Quinn in it. We didn't have
Yeah,
a
I think somebody
fielder.
said. Yeah, we had a center. We had like literally. I called it potluck center field. Like that's how bad our center fielder was. And
So
a lot of those things that Dombrowski did at the break or by the trade deadline, can't go undone. Can't be sung high enough. Knowing like what we took a ragtag team with a couple shiny pieces and really turned it into a well-oiled machine. Just think now that we can replace some of those not so well-oiled pieces with some really high-end stuff.
I
I
mean, think
agree.
about it, Al. In the beginning of the season, the rants that you went on about Odubel Herrera coming back and just now he sits at home and at least Brandon Marsh and at least Matt Vierling are got the opportunity to play in a World Series. Now,
I think Brandon Marsh is going to be a very steady center
I do
fielder.
too.
Maybe he may not be a big bat, but if he can bat sub 250, I mean, sub above 250, to around 250 or more, I'd be a happy camper.
And I
And,
think Matt Vierling's going to be a really good outfielder. I really do. I
and
think
both of them
he's
are under team control for the next 6 years. So
yeah. That is a very good thing. And you want to talk about a positive. Think about this. That fact that Matt just said, and the idea that the nucleus, the Schwarber, Castellanos, and I hope that Al is right with how much they're going to invest in getting Castellanos right. But the nucleus, Schwarber, Castellanos, and Harper, they're all here for the next 4 years. And that is going to be a window of time that this team and Dabrowski are going to try to get it right. And yeah, there's no guarantee you're going to make it back to the World Series, but damn it, he's going to try.
And you know who tries every night their best? That's here EOP in the Painted Lines and Devereaux Sports. Look at this lineup. Yeah, we fell a little short of our goal. Patterson Fanatics was on earlier today, and then here's the Phightins final. You're watching the last actual game Phightins final, but as I mentioned, we are not going anywhere. We'll be back, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Tomorrow, don't forget 9 a.m. Devereaux Sports is going to come at you, and I'm sure the Gobbler and Big Mike will put their own little spin on this. The attacking third, man, we didn't talk about that. The Union. Oh, good God. I mean, geez.
Yeah, it was kind of a kick in the teeth twice today.
Jesus.
For sports fans.
And then all across all the time, the Gary Groob, who hosts that show, I saw something on social media earlier in the chat. He's been invited to go to the Czech Republic. Al, can you expand on this a little bit?
I will not tonight because I don't have all the information. But yes, there's a big tournament in Czech Republic with a big lacrosse organization, and they reach out to all across all the time to go with them and be their inside coverage. So, EOP's going international, I guess.
That's it. And then,
technically,
of course,
we already were with our Canadian brethren.
Well, and don't forget our Patterson Ave fanatics that are in Sweden, Switzerland, and Germany.
There you go.
And obviously, we will not be back tomorrow night for Game 7 of the Phightins final. I'm sorry about that. Don't forget, I'm sure this was an interesting night to go watch Game 6 with Mickey Morandini down at Dolan's. If anybody can kind of get you settled down a little bit, it was probably him who dealt with a bigger gut punch in a Game 6 in his career. So
yes,
go ahead and check.
I'm sure he loved when Fox threw that up on the screen too.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure he did love that. So don't forget, check out Dolan's. Philly sports trips. They got a lot of great things going on. The next Eagle trip is going down to or going out to Indianapolis on the I think 29th, is that whatever of November. Don't forget the Sixer stuff they're doing, the Flyer stuff that they're doing, and then the Phillies spring training. Have I mentioned they'll be reporting for pitchers and catchers report on Valentine's Day, 100 days from today.
And
so
what a great Christmas present that could make for your Phillies fan coming off a big season as they did, to give them a Philly sports trip to Clearwater.
That's right. And if what we did for you tonight was not enough, and you find yourself tomorrow morning in need of someone to talk about workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, Dave Cherry is the man you want to call. 610-565-0300. Please tell him that EOP sent you. He shall take great, great, great care of you. And boys, I cannot believe I'm about to say this. I knew it had to come to an end sooner or later, but here we are. Before we go, I do want to say that hopefully sometime this week, we're going to put together a Phightins Finals season in review. We'll look back at the Phillies 2022 season. We'll talk about what was and what will be. As I mentioned, we are going to do at least 2 hot stove episodes throughout the winter, as we'll get you updated on the free agents comings and goings and the trade comings and goings. And then we're going to come at you, sometime probably in the middle part of spring training with a preview episode. But, man, it's over. I cannot believe after 7 months.
For the last time in 2022.
I'm signing off. Yeah, it's over for the year. I'm signing off. Inaugural season of the Phightins Final. We've talked about this over and over again in the last few weeks. It's been a hell of a ride. I've enjoyed every minute of it. You guys came on. Everybody else, big Cowboy Dave, Frank Finnegan, Joey Sheeran stopped by a couple times. Joe Sullivan, the Gobbler, Big Mike, everybody who came on, and then those who contributed through the messages: Walter, Sean Kilran, Linda, Bryce, Sadar, wherever you are out in the world, buddy, even you, man. And then for those of you who I'm forgetting, Robert and Michael and
girl Linda. Don't forget my girl Linda.
I said Linda.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I got to take care of Mike, Robert. I'm not going to sit here and you guys. There's a lot of you, but there's a ton of you.
Hey, or whatever, the one that called me a Padres fan.
Oh, Tay Day, yeah.
Tay Day.
But listen, you guys know who you are, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for finding me and then sticking with me for the last 7 months. It was an absolute 100% honor and a pleasure to come at you, spend my summer, my spring, summer, and early fall with you. I am so sorry things ended up the way they did. I wish you a great, happy rest of your 2022. You have a great holiday season. And as I mentioned, we'll be back. And don't forget, I'll be back coming up with another post-game show starting next week. Clear the Ice will finally get its full stamp of approval and go ahead as we'll start talking some Flyers hockey.
And don't
Big
forget,
Al.
guys, don't forget the Phillies coverage is not just here; it'll be across the whole network for the most part. So we'll still be talking plenty of Phillies. So you'll get more Phillies than you know what to do with.
Al, parting shots, comments, concerns. What do you got?
No, I think we said it all. Just thanks to everybody. Thanks to you, Matty B. Most of all, you tried and true, my friend. I'm like, there's no way he's going to do this. There's no way he's going to get everyone in. There's no way. There's no way. I didn't want to doubt you, but I had to like. It's just. It was the big. This is the biggest jump forward we had with EOP, and it was a catalyst to other big jumps that we've had. So kudos to you. You can take a bow, my friend.
Thank you.
And I'll kind of echo that and say, just like the Phillies, this show and you definitely exceeded expectations. And that's the difference is that with EOP, with Phightins Final, with all the other shows that are on the network, that's all EOP tries to do is exceed expectations because we all, as Philly fans, whether you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, we all have high expectations for all of our teams. And that's one of the reasons why we get so angry. And that's why we get, we overreact. We hold our emotions on our sleeve. And that's why we needed tonight to kind of vent. And tomorrow we'll wake up. We'll take a cup of coffee. We'll breathe in some clean oxygen and understand that the Eagles are still undefeated and that there is a possibility that in the near future, there still could be a championship parade going down Broad Street.
I echo those sentiments. And gentlemen, again, one last time, I want to thank you for coming along this ride with me this year and tonight. I've heard from everybody except one last person. One last time in 2022. Harry the K, what you got?
He had high apple pie in the sky.